Yo, what's up? We back out here again. It's the Buff Missionary continuing through this book, Steps to Christ, in chapter 2. This second section here, really good stuff. Like, subscribe, and share. If you've been enjoying us as we're going through the book so far, there's so much good practical knowledge in here. And I would really say a lot of things that just help us better understand why we are the way that we are and the things that we would hope to be and maybe struggle with in our experiences. That's exactly what this one is talking about here. Chapter 2, the sinner's need of Christ. And here's what it says. In his sinless state, man held joyful communion with him, in whom are hid all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. That's in Colossians 2:3. But after his sin, he could no longer find joy in holiness. Imagine that. Created by a holy being, to be holy, and he enjoyed holy communion. But after sin, this holy communion was not something that mankind found joy in anymore. Man couldn't find happiness in being good. That's what sin did to us. It put us in a place where we're not happy with being good. All right? That's so deep. It says, and he sought to hide from the presence of God. So he was in joyful communion with God, a holy God. And because of sin, he didn't want to be good. He didn't want to be around a good God. That became his opposite instead of what he was compatible with. Such is still the condition of the unrenewed heart. That's me. That's you. Our hearts are unrenewed now, and it's easier for us to identify with things that we know are not good instead of the things that we know and believe to be good. That's the impact of sin. The sinner could not be happy in God's presence because he is not in harmony with God and finds no joy in communion with him. That contrast. Again, it started out as joyful communion with God, and now because of sin, we cannot experience joy with communing with God. The sinner would shrink from the companionship of holy beings. That's what we do. And it takes a step further here, which I think is very interesting when you think of a lot of the reasons why people actually are not on board with spiritual things. One of them is related to the problem of suffering, but the other is the issue of judgment and what God does with people who don't end up wanting to be on his side in the end, according to a lot of Christian tradition. He would shrink from the companionship of holy beings. Could he be permitted to enter heaven? It would have no joy for him. Now, you have to think about this again in terms of what we're just reading here. A lot of people are saying that the idea of hell or people being destroyed at the end of time because they are out of alignment with God is cruel of God. But could it be the opposite? Is it possible that it's the human condition that stays within itself and is unwilling to get outside of itself? It's the human condition that doesn't want to engage with God. Think about it like this. Why would someone who spends their entire life being against God, not just in word, but in the things that they do, the things that they practice, the way that they live their lives, why would somebody like that want to be with God at the end of time? That doesn't make any sense. It's almost like, for lack of a better way of putting it, God is doing those people a favor. And maybe the better way of saying it is this: God is giving them what they want. There's a lot of irony there, but we'll continue to see that as God being cruel if we don't realize what sin has done to us and our need for something better against what now is our best efforts and wishes. The spirit of unselfish love that reigns there in heaven, every heart responding to the heart of infinite love. Think about it. Sin, the first sin was related to pride. And what is pride? Nothing more but elevating oneself above anything else around you. So when you talk about selfish pride in contrast with unselfish love, those two are not going to want to be in harmony anywhere, much less in heaven. And if every heart, the hearts that have accepted the sacrifice of Christ, are beating to that tune, if they're also unselfish in trying to elevate others and give precedence to others above themselves, how is the selfish one gonna be happy there? That would be very frustrating for that individual. That spirit of unselfish love would touch no answering chord in his soul. There wouldn't be anything inside the selfish person that heaven would identify with. His thoughts, his interests, his motives would be alien to those that actuate the sinless dwellers there. He would be a discordant note in the melody of heaven. He'd be off key. I know some of y'all sing in choirs, and others of you may have just been at a concert or listening to someone sing the national anthem somewhere or in church, and that one person who loves to, let's call it, make a joyful noise. Guess up, my bad. I'm trolling a little bit. You guys know how it is when sometimes you hear notes that you know don't belong to the music. It can be a little bit of a cringe factor there. Think of eternal cringe for the person who is selfish, trying to live amongst a bunch of people who are selfless. It just wouldn't fit. Heaven would be to him a place of torture. Now that's an interesting way of putting it, right? Because what's another way that we've categorized a place of torture? Oh, hell. Huh. So a sinner in heaven would actually feel like they're in hell. Why? Because their nature and what they've signed up for, what they've continued to subscribe to throughout their existence in their life, is not in harmony with what heaven has to offer, with what God is offering. It would be torture for him there. He would long to be hidden from him who is its light and the center of its joy. That's the very same thing that Adam experienced when sin corrupted his being, his once perfect nature. And we see it very clearly how Adam and Eve used to fellowship with God on the daily. But as soon as sin entered the equation, they were hiding from the same person that was their father. That's crazy. If we're unaware of that, then we don't understand why we are the way that we are and why we do the things that we do. I don't know about y'all, but I'm willing to bet that, like me, you've had moments where there are things that you want to do because you believe them to be good, and you don't do them. In fact, it's not just that you're not doing those good things, but a step further, you're doing the exact opposite of those things that you know and believe to be good. And it frustrates you. It frustrates me. And we wonder why. This is the reason why, because of what sin has done. But having the recognition and understanding of the sin problem in this cosmic conflict, I think can put us in a much better position of knowing, one, exactly who we are and how we are, and then opening us up to the potential of the opportunity that there is to be freed from who we are and what we are. So there's steps to it. But I think it comes with this recognition first that I am a sinner. There's a reason why I am the way that I am. And I need something or someone to bring me back to a place where I can enjoy holiness and be happy with being good again. It is no arbitrary decree on the part of God that excludes the wicked from heaven. They are shut out by their own unfitness for its companionship. The glory of God would be to them a consuming fire. And I love this line because in other places in the Bible, it also tells us that God's love is a consuming fire. When you think of the idea of hell, a lot of people think of hate, they think of anger, they think of meanness, they think of all of these things when it comes to this concept of hell. But if I look at the contrast of God's love being as a consuming fire, if God's love is in us, I don't think that fire would have anything to burn because we would be one with that consuming fire. But if we are selfish, if the only thing that we have love for is ourselves, and the mentality of selfless love doesn't exist within us, that consuming fire would be absolutely crushing for us. It'd be crushing for me as a selfish human being. It would destroy me. I wouldn't find any pleasure in that whatsoever. And then it says this, they would welcome destruction, that they might be hidden from the face of him who died to redeem them. Sin is a hell of a drug. Like, we don't understand the magnitude of sin. We don't understand how much it's changed the way that we think and the way that we operate. But it's corrupted our minds in the face of someone dying to save us. And being made aware of that person, that individual is someone that we can't stand because of what sin has done to us, because of how much it's messed up the way that we think. Instead of wanting to look on that face with adoration, admiration, inspiration, being motivated and encouraged by that individual, we want to hide from that face because of sin. Imagine how messed up our minds have to be to want to be completely and utterly destroyed, as opposed to being with the one who wants to save us and that sacrificed everything to save us. That's crazy. That's crazy, but that's sin. We are in need of something powerful. We're in need of someone powerful if we're going to have any shot of feeling happy about being good, about enjoying communion with a holy God once again, as opposed to the struggle that we go through on a daily basis. This thing that Paul describes so well. He talks about, I think it's in Romans 7, all the things that he wants to do, he can't do it. And the things that he doesn't will to do, those are the things that he does. And that's how we find ourselves, because of sin. We'll stop there for today, but it's the Buff Missionary again. Like, subscribe, and share. I got a lot to think about because I'm telling you, this stuff, it hits different every single time. I hope you guys get something to think about too. Comment down below your thoughts and we'll have a dialogue. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So until the next time, peace.
We out here, we out. Follow the Buff Missionary. Subscribe, like, share. You know how it is.